What are your long-term predictions for Sam Ruthe?
I think he's going to go down as one of New Zealand's greats.
It's the distance before that we were talking about, that New Zealand has got a stacked history, so that is a big shout.
Yeah, I really think that he's got the capability to do something really special.
It's like saying something like that could be like just a mountain of pressure for someone. You obviously know him well enough to know that he can hear something like this and handle it.
Yeah, I think he can. For me, I'm not expecting him to do that, but I just think he can do that. So for me, it's not putting pressure on him because he'll just do as well as he can. But I just think that's where it's going to lead.
Craig Kirkwood, welcome to my podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
Mate, it's been a couple of years in the making.
I know, you've been hounding me for a while, and I finally succumbed and agreed to come up.
It took a Metallica concert just to timestamp the conversation. You were in Auckland from your home in Tauranga for a Metallica concert.
That's right, yep. Came out with my son this morning, so good excuse to come and do this podcast with you, and thank you for having me, and go to Metallica, which should be awesome.
When you train these days just for fitness or for fun or whatever, do you raw dog it or do you wear headphones? What are you listening to?
I never wear headphones when I run. I never have. No, I just raw dog it. I just enjoy being out running, and normally I run with friends, so we just banter is flying and having fun. What
do you do these days in terms of training?
I'm doing a stupid challenge this year where I'm trying to run every day of the year, which so far has been successful. So I've only got another 6 weeks to go. So and that's really just what I'm doing. Just run around every day and just enjoy it, and we'll see what happens next year.
Streaks?
Yeah.
Streaks. How many minimum amount of kilometres per day?
30-minute minimum every day. So yeah, it's it has its challenges. I've had a little injury here and there, and get sick and lose motivation and be not interested, but still get out the door and get it done. Yeah.
Yes, so you're like a super coach these days. As an athlete, you're probably at your peak, like 15 years ago, 12 years?
Yeah. Ish. Yeah.
Yeah, so what's it?
Maybe more.
You were bloody quick too, back in the day. What sort of pace are you running now for these 30-minute runs?
Normally around 4:45 per kilometre, just normal kind of pace, yeah. Jog around. Sometimes it's a bit slower, sometimes a little bit quicker, but about there.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Is this the first time we've met? I feel like I know you, but I also think this may be the first time we've met.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't recall having met before, so yeah, it's been an honour for me.
Oh, likewise. Yeah, I mean, you go to any sort of organised running event around the country and you'll see like a number of CK singlets, which is Craig Kirkwood, which I think says a lot about you as a coach. That, I mean, coaching people is one thing, but then having people wear your merch, it speaks volumes about how much esteem they hold you in, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's it goes a little bit deeper than that, and that people want to pull on the singlet and they want to represent someone or something, and it gives them a sense of unity in a group and a culture, and they wear it with pride, and I think that's pretty special that they do that.
And another thing, I don't know if you remember this, but I did this charity challenge maybe 5 or 6 years ago called 5 and 5, where I was running 5 marathons in 5 days to raise money for this young girl for cancer, who was suffering from cancer. And you messaged me out of the blue saying, hey, I hear you're doing this thing. If you need some help with the coaching, let me know. Then I sent you a reply saying, I've got my coach Ian who's helping me, but maybe I can link you up with him and you guys can talk together. And you said, I don't want to stand on anyone's toes. I don't want to get involved, which I thought was a real, first of all, it was nice of you to reach out, but it was also like a lovely response and respectful response as well, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been really careful around athletes and their current coaching relationships and making sure that those are really solid, and I'm not getting in between anyone and their coach. And I think in that situation I saw that you were doing it, and I thought that's a really cool initiative and cool thing you're doing, and if you didn't have any help then maybe you wanted some and you already had it, so I was happy to kind of stand back and watch and enjoy what you're doing.
Is that a big thing in coaching circles, like a coaching etiquette thing, like you don't try and like poach anyone, or you don't get in?
It is for me, yeah. I'm always very cautious if that situation arises where an athlete's looking to make some changes, and I always want to make sure that their previous coaching relationship is tidy before we're engaged and start working together. Yeah.
So there's a lot to work through on this podcast today. Like I've singled out a few of the high performance athletes that you work with to chat about. I mentioned on Instagram that you're coming in, and there was lots of great questions there.
I shudder to think of it.
I mean, also there's the Craig Kirkwood story himself in your career. But I put into ChatGPT, the AI tool that you're coming in. Do you want to know what ChatGPT said about you?
Yeah, go ahead. That'd be amusing.
He is regarded, and you can tell me if this is correct or if AI is completely off the mark here. He is regarded as a blunt, structured, and data-driven, obsessed with consistency, one of the best in New Zealand at turning good athletes into exceptional athletes, and a coach who genuinely gives a damn. CK isn't a clipboard from the sidelines guy. He trains, races, and suffers right alongside his athletes.
Oh, yeah, and honoured that's what it says. Yeah, sure, we'll go with that.
Do you still suffer alongside your athletes?
I do at times. Yeah, I get out there and do some workouts with some of the athletes, not the young fellas these days because they're way too quick for me. But I certainly get out there and participate. Yeah, enjoy suffering.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, you're dealing with like Olympic and Commonwealth level athletes, so obviously you're not doing the speed work with them anymore.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you about. There's not really I don't know. I was going to say there's not really a direct correlation, but maybe there is. Just in terms of high performance sport coaching, one of the big stories of 2025 has been Dame Nolene and the Silver Ferns, and she was stood down, and apparently some athletes thought she was a bit tough or something. What are your thoughts on that high performance sport in particular, and in terms of like how far you can push athletes and what you can do with them?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. I think from my point of view, I'm not the kind of coach who will bark or demand things of athletes. I'm really there to help facilitate them be their best, and they need to be self-motivated to actually achieve that. It's not my role to push them into anything that they're not interested in doing, or if I feel like I'm stepping over the line in terms of what's acceptable for me, then I definitely wouldn't do that. But but I know there's lots of coaches who are in that space and maybe a little bit more old school in the way they approach their coach-athlete relationships.
Because I'm thinking one of the fastest runners you deal with is Samuel Tanner, he's a larrikin.
Yeah, he is.
Like, do you ever have to blast him, or?
No, I don't think I've ever once blasted him. No, I've coached Sam since he was not quite young. He was probably like 17 or something. So, and we've always had a really good relationship, pretty good mates, and we've had a lot of honest conversations where we've talked about stuff really honestly, but never from a point of me telling him off or him feeling like he's being told off. It's more just from a place of love and care rather than a place of, you must do this and you must do that. It's not the way I operate. Yeah.
Just sort of like brutal honesty, would you call it?
Yeah, sometimes you just need to have those conversations, and they're not easy to have. You have to be tactful in the way that you bring them up, and the way you start the conversation, the way you hold it, and the way you leave it are really important. So, yeah.
I spoke to Sam yesterday. He said one of CK's strengths is the balance between tough and understanding.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement.
Are you, not that this is the role that you signed up for, but with your athletes, are you a psychologist at times?
Oh, I try not to be. Yeah, I mean, sometimes, you have to delve into the psychology of what they're doing and the way they operate, in a race environment and off the racing course. But yes, I mean, I'm not a psychologist, and I don't pretend to be, and so I always try and stick to my lane. If they need some professional support, then we go looking for that. Yeah.
What's the hardest part about coaching elite athletes that regular people would never even think about? Is there anything that stands out?
I think dealing with federations is probably the hardest part. So I'm a private coach and I work independently, but I'm also coaching high-performance athletes, and they're part of a high-performance structure. And so dealing with that structure can sometimes be a little bit frustrating. It has its challenges. Yeah,
like politics?
Just politics, yeah.
Right.
And a lot of box ticking, and a lot of unnecessary meetings and conversations that don't really lead to much. Yeah.
This is going to be such a great episode. First of all, I want to wind the clock back and go back to the early years of Craig Kirkwood. So
Crikey, it's a long way back.
Timaru.
Yeah.
Tim is hard.
Tim is hard. Tim is proud. Tim of Vegas.
You mentioned that before. I said, I don't know why, but I didn't pick you to be a Metallica guy. And you're like, well, I'm from Timaru. So it turns out you're going to Metallica tonight and then Tool again in a few nights.
Yeah.
So what attracted you? Were 14 when you started running?
Yeah, about 14. So it must have been third form at school, year 9 as it is now.
What attracted you to running?
I think it was just that I wasn't very good at being part of a team sport. I like to have accountability for my own actions, and being in a team environment wasn't really for me and didn't really fulfill that. So, and I was quite good at running. I had some events that I did during intermediate school, and did really well on those. And I think it just kind of fit nicely with my psyche.
Mm. Naturally gifted, or just a grinder?
Oh,
bit of both.
Bit of both, maybe.
Yeah. When did you first hear about Arthur Lydiard?
Maybe when I was about 13 or 14.
Right.
I remember him coming to Timaru to do a camp. He was actually in Geraldine, just near Timaru, but he was there doing a camp, and we went out and joined that, and it was pretty special to be in the presence of someone like Arthur. He had a legend-like status, and still does. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
Oh, so you got to meet him?
Yeah. When I was 14, I remember him putting us on the track to do some 200-metre strides, and his theory at the time, as I recall, was that he can tell if someone's going to be great just by the way they move over 200 metres, and so he put us out on the track, and we all ran a 200, and I remember him saying to me afterwards, I think this boy's going to go all right. So it was like pretty cool to hear something like that from a coach like him. So
you got the seal of approval from Arthur.
Yeah, I guess so.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think he's such an underrated New Zealander. I reckon if you got 100 Kiwis in a room, maybe 10, 15, 20 might know who he is.
Yeah, he was revolutionary, in his time, just light years ahead of anyone else in the world. So no.
I've got so many of his books, or books relating to him from like Garth Gilmore or others in my library at home. How much of his principles do you use? He was huge on heavy mileage, like hundreds of Ks each week.
Yeah.
How much of the Lydiard principles do you use now?
Well, when I started running, I didn't have a coach, so I used his books as a guideline. So I just opened the book, and there were the timetables in the back, and I would just follow them. And as I developed as an athlete and now as a coach, I think the principle that I follow the most is consistency. In that. Nothing special can be done in one day, but it's just built over a long period of time, building towards an event or over a career. So, yeah, I think that's probably the founding principle that I follow, rather than anything specific.
Did you ever have a coach, or did you coach yourself through your entire career?
I had a coach at university. I went to university in the States, had a coach there, and then moved to the UK after that, and had a coach there, and then moved back and had one when I was home for a few years. So.
But you coached yourself for a lot of your sort of elite career.
Yeah, it was a strange situation because I was in high school, had no coach, ran pretty well, went to the US, ended up at the University of Oklahoma, and the coaching environment there wasn't spectacular. So there was an Irish guy and myself, and we just trained together most of the time, and we made lots of mistakes. We just did our own thing because we really didn't get a lot of guidance. So we made a lot of mistakes, ran way too much, way too fast. But I think those are the foundations for my coaching career now. And I know that those things are not to be done if you want to be successful, because they're just going to bury you. So what was hurting me then is actually helping me now.
So you was there's parallels between your story and Arthur Lydiard. Like he was sort of a guinea pig on himself before he worked with Snell and those guys. So why did you settle on the marathon? Were you not just quick enough over the shorter distances?
Too old and too slow. No, I'd been running well on the track, and I'd run two world cross countries in 99 and 2000. And then in 2000, they announced that the World Cross was going to be back in Dublin the following year, and it was undoubtedly going to be muddy, and I had no interest in running in the mud. And we ended up being at London Marathon, standing on the bridge, watching a friend of ours, Robbie Johnson, who's from Dunedin, and he was running the marathon at the time, and we were standing on the Tower Bridge, and the lead group came past, and the noise was incredible, and then his group came past, and the noise was amazing, and I'm like, this is what I'm doing next year. I don't want to do World Cross again. I want to do this. So that kind of started my marathon career.
Can you remember your first marathon?
Yep, it was the next year, 2001 in London, and yeah, epic day in a group with a lot of the top British athletes and a few other randoms, and yeah, we just had an amazing day.
What time?
2:16 was my debut. Yeah,
and your personal best in your marathon running career, 2:13.
Yeah, so after London, I went away to train and ended up running Chicago in October of the same year. So, and ran 2:13 there.
And to put that in perspective for anyone that's listening to this or watching this that isn't big on running, just recently the New York Marathon's been on, and Eliud Kipchoge, the greatest marathon runner of all time, he ran in between those two times.
Yeah.
I think 2:14, 2:15 or something.
And I think
it's quick.
It is quick. And I think there's a big debate around the shoes, and the shoe technology has changed quite a lot since then, and more so in the last kind of 4 or 5 years than in the 20 years prior to that. But yeah, so I think there'd be a big shift if I got an opportunity to run the new shoes now. So
really, even at that level?
Yeah, I think so. I think it'd be worth at least 2 or 3 minutes.
2 or 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Fuck, because you could understand like a pair of like Nike Vaporflies, which feel amazing, by the way.
They're incredible.
Yeah, if you're a 4-hour marathon runner, you can understand like shaving 5 minutes off. But yeah, at the pointy end, like where you were, I wouldn't have thought they'd make that much of a difference.
Yeah, they make quite a big difference, not only on race day, but in the training that you can get prior to the event. So do a lot of work in shoes that are actually protecting you rather than just getting beat up from the shoes that we were wearing at the time. So yeah, no, definitely. And on race day, that onset of fatigue just happens later and later as you get into the marathon. So, and if you've got shoes that are protecting you from that onset, then go much faster.
What are your thoughts on all the advancements and shoes and everything else? It sounds like you're all for it.
That's great. Yeah. It's just technology, just moving on. You know, our shoes were better than Peter Snell had, so you know you can't sit here and complain about today's technology.
Yeah, and didn't the guys from Nike meet with Lydiard and then come up with the shoes in a waffle maker? Isn't that the legend?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how that unfolded, but yeah, it was Bill Bauman who came up with the waffle design for the Nike shoe. Yeah. Coach at University of Oregon.
Can you remember the first time you wore the black singlet?
Yeah, it would have been what would have been World Student Games in 1997 in Sicily. Yeah.
How's that?
We all got sick. Everyone in the village got sick. But it was a cool experience, and it was amazing to put on the black singlet and represent the country. And I think I finished 5th or 6th in the 10,000 metres on the track. So, yeah, pretty cool experience.
So 1999 to 2001, you were London-based and working as an assistant coach for a legendary coach called Tim McDonald.
Yep, that's right. Yeah. So I kind of fell into that job. I'd been at university in the States, and I was getting ready to leave, and I was talking to my dad, and he was like, what are you going to do? And I said, maybe I'll just come home. And he's like, wouldn't you go to Australia or to the UK and just kind of travel some more? And I was like, oh shit, yeah, maybe I will. So had a friend who was living in London, so I contacted him, and he's like, yeah, come over. So booked some tickets and then went to London, trying to get a job with London Marathon actually as an event organising. And I met with a guy called Alan Story, who was the event director, and he kind of said, I don't have any jobs available, but my friend Kim has this athlete management company, and he's looking for someone. Maybe I'll put you in contact. And so I met with Kim and spent the next maybe 4 years working for him, just in athlete management, and did a lot of the donkey work with equipment and shoes and driving people to the airport and picking people up here and there and driving around. But it was a cool job, and I think that was one of the foundations to my coaching, is that I would take all the athletes to the track, and they were the best African athletes in the world, top record holders, Olympic champions, world champions, take them to the track, administer the workout that Kim had set for them, report back to Kim on how they'd gone and who looked great and who was struggling and all those kind of things, and he would use that information to enter athletes into big races. And so just that coach's eye, standing on the sideline and then reporting back to him, and it just gives you that that eye for what actually looks good on the track and how people are moving and who's going well.
Was it from that rubbing shoulders with Kenyans that you ended up doing a training block in Kenya?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so the whole time I worked there, the Kenyan guys were always trying to get me to come out to Kenya and train, and I just never had the opportunity or the money. I was flat broke. And then so I got the opportunity in 2000 to go out there and spent 8 weeks out there, and then went back the following year and did another block. So
amazing. Whereabouts, Eton?
The first time I went, I stayed in a place called Nakuru, which is halfway between Eldoret and Nairobi, and then we had a training camp in a place called Nyahururu, which is really close, and that wasn't so great. Didn't really enjoy it there. Went up to Kaptagat, which is on the other side of the forest from Aten. So when I was there, Aten was just a really small rural town with nothing really going on. Everyone was in Kaptagat on the other side of the forest, really undeveloped, lots of kind of wooden shacks, people living in tin huts in just fields, and like just runners everywhere. It was an incredible place to be at the time. So amazing experience to be there. I think it's changed quite a lot.
What you're explaining sounds like quite a miserable, bleak existence. Did you enjoy it at the time, or is it like type 2 fun where you look back on it and go...
Yeah, I think it was definitely a graft because the training was extraordinarily hard.
What, because of the altitude or the speed?
So the camp was at about 10,000 feet, and then the runs were in the forest, and you could go right up to the escarpment, which is like the edge of the Rift Valley. So the Rift Valley is at that place is kind of shaped like a big skateboard bowl, so big down up the other side. So you can stand on the edge of the escarpment and look across and see the other side, and then just 4,000 feet below you is the bottom of the valley. It's incredible. And so we'd run up to there and run along the top of the escarpment and back down to the camp, and those were kind of 3-hour runs at really high altitude, and they weren't slow. So and if the first time I went there, I was warned, if you go with the group and you don't keep up, you'll get lost, and no one is waiting for you, and no one's coming back for you. So you have to either keep up or you're going to get lost. And so it was like survival of the fittest, basically, from day one. So it was pretty brutal.
And what sort of pace are they doing?
That was pre-GPS, so I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah. It was probably 4-minute Ks.
Right.
Yeah.
Just as a standard long...
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Up at altitude.
At altitude.
Yeah.
What does altitude do to you?
Was less... oxygen in the air, so your muscles aren't getting supplied with the oxygen. So from a physiological standpoint, your body is compensating by that to produce more red blood cells to be able to cope with the lack of oxygen. So and really fatiguing. It's hard to recover once you go really hard and get tired. Yeah.
Did you see any drugs or anything then, or was that like sort of pre-high performance drugs?
I think it was pre-drugs. I never saw any, and I've had this question a lot over the years because I worked really closely with a large group of Kenyan athletes and a lot of the top Americans and British runners, and I was in really close contact. I was in their houses all the time. I was taking them here and there, and for the most part, the Africans were really primitive. I don't mean that in a bad way, but primitive in a sense that they were really innocent, and I think it was really pre-drugs in that time. I think they've got a real problem over there now, and I think something really needs to be done with the Kenyan situation. Maybe not just Kenya too. Probably some other countries involved there.
Yeah. If it ever comes out that Kipchoge's a dirty runner, I'll be devastated. He's like my Lance Armstrong. A lot of people were in the Yellow Live Strong bands right up until the Oprah interview. Yeah. That's like me with Kipchoge. Why do you think it is? Is it just that the stakes are so high? I mean, for example, like your 2:13 still stacks up as one of the great New Zealand marathon running times. If you're a 2:13 Kenyan,
you're a nobody.
Yeah. You're just a pack runner, aren't you?
Yeah, you're a nobody. You're not even getting a start in a big city marathon. So, I think it's just a money thing for them. It's a way for them to get out of poverty and help feed their family and, just make something of themselves. And I think there's some people involved in the sport who are preying on that and just taking advantage. Yeah.
So was it after that training block or another one that you went to the Com Games?
So that was so I went to the training block in 2002, right before the Com Games, and I was training really well for that, and ended up getting injured on my return to London. I had a bit of a tight kind of back and hip went out for a run one day, and I was running interestingly down Priory Lane, which is going into Richmond Park from the north side, I think it is.
Yeah.
And a car pulled out of a driveway, and I had to sidestep it to avoid being run over, and just didn't hit me, but I just tweaked my back in the process, and I limped home. Was probably a good hour limping home, and then was never right after that.
So you made it to the Commonwealth Games,
Yep.
and you had a DNF, which is did not finish. Up until that point, though, what are the Commonwealth Games like? What an amazing experience, kid from Timaru.
Yeah, I know, it was pretty incredible. Kind of a life dream, really, to make a global championship like that.
Yeah, drop some names. Who else was in the New Zealand team for those games?
So it was Val Adams' first Com Games team. So I remember her being there for her first time. Beatrice Falmoina was in the team. I think she won 97, I think, the world title, but she was still throwing really well. From a marathon perspective, was Phil Costley was on the team with me, and and Jonathan Wyatt. And so the three of us had all run really similar times to qualify for the championships, and we all knew that the third place medal was up for grabs. And there were two really good African runners, and we knew that they would probably go first and second, but the third place was really unclear. And so we were going into the games thinking one of us here has a day, we can sneak a medal. And it ended up being Australian Andrew Leatherby who got third. And so when he qualified in Chicago a minute and a half behind me. And so, to see him win a medal, and I'd run faster than him, and I knew I was in great shape prior to the championships, was pretty hard. And I remember Jonathan Wyatt coming across the finish line, and he was absolutely wrecked. I think he was at about 5th or 6th place. He kind of said to me, who won? And I told him it was Andrew, and he just broke down in tears and just devastated. I was like, it could have been his medal, like it was just one of those days where it was just wide open, and just someone just had to have their best run ever to get a medal.
When did you pull out?
I think at about 22 or 23 kilometres, I was just in so much pain that I just couldn't run anymore. I was still in the front group, but I just knew it wasn't going to work. So.
Yeah. How do you reflect on that now?
I've long come to peace with that.
Yeah. Was it hard at the time?
Oh yeah. Definitely. Definitely hard. I came back to New Zealand and was adamant that I was going to get fit and return, but never did.
Yeah, so after that, you the next big goal was the Beijing Olympics.
So I'd been running pretty well. I'd recovered from that injury. It took like 18 months and a surgery to come right, and then still dealing with imbalances and still pain and discomfort. But I could run. Decided I'd have a crack at trying to qualify for Beijing, and and I said to my brother-in-law at the time, if I don't, I'll do Ironman with you the following year. So, ended up doing Ironman. Yep.
Yeah. How do you deal with these sort of disappointments? 'Cause I suppose it's part of being an athlete, isn't it? The highs and the lows.
It is, yeah. And I'm pretty philosophical like that. I
don't dwell?
No, I don't dwell. I try not to let stuff get to me. And just quite pragmatic about it. And it's like, it wasn't meant to be, and it's not happening. So I gave it my best shot, and that's all you can ask.
Yeah, but so the Commonwealth Games, you're over there, you're surrounded by these athletes, and you had a DNF for not making it Beijing. Like, how long is it before you're able to park it and move on?
I think I drank a few beers. I think that helped. Probably more than my share, to be honest.
But is it just one day of drinking beers, or is it like a period of 6 months where...
No, I think the remainder of the games was a bit of a bender. And then, got out of there and came home. And, mum and dad looked after me and helped me kind of get right. And then I actually moved up to Auckland and, kind of set about trying to kind of sort myself out and get this injury sorted. So. But it didn't take too long.
How can other people do that? Like, is this just something in your DNA? Like, some serious disappointment for some people, it can be just crushing and something they never recover from. But if people could be more like Craig Kirkwood and just be able to, draw a line in the sand.
Maybe I just lack emotion. I don't know. Not sure. But I just honestly don't. I'm quite pragmatic about those kind of things, and same with my athletes. And if they don't achieve what they want to achieve, I feel really sad for them. But from my point of view, I can park it because I know that what they've done and how the things that they've got to get there. they've done all the right stuff, and if it doesn't happen on the day, then it's just the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, so like control the controllables,
Yeah,
I think the
that's
saying
right.
is. What are the biggest lessons you learned about yourself from running marathons?
I think just to be patient and have a plan. And if you ever go to the front runner in Christchurch, the store there, Oscar has put on the wall a quote that I said to him one day. He rang me and asked him about it for his first marathon, and he's like, "Oh, have you got any advice?" And I said, "Oh, the first time you want to make a move, don't. The second time you want to make a move, don't. The third time you won't be able to." And so he's put that on his wall, and I think that's what a really key thing is, that just have a plan and just stick to it and make sure you know what you're doing, and be comfortable in that.
Actually, Oscar, who you're talking about, great runner himself.
Yeah.
Fantastic for the sport. He's won the Christchurch Marathon a number of
amazing,
times. Runs an amazing shop down there. For the Instagram segment of this podcast, he sent through a question. Since you've brought him up, we'll get to it now.
Let's talk about him.
Question for Craig: how far away can you smell an athlete's bullshit?
I know he's referring to, because he's made the brave move and had a coach switch, and he's actually now coached by Phil Costley, who I went to the Com Games with, and Phil has been sniffing out his bullshit because Oscar's full of it. So.
Is he? In what way?
He just talks a lot. Don't you, Oscar? How far away? I think I have a pretty good ability to sniff out that stuff when someone's just kind of talking nonsense.
What do you mean? What sort of nonsense? What sort of bullshit do you mean? Like that they gave it everything and they didn't, or?
Yeah, or they're just overinflating themselves, or what they're trying to achieve, or what they've done, or just things like that. Yeah, you can just tell. Yeah.
Yes. After the disappointment of not making the Olympics, that's when you pivot to triathlon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why? Why? Well, it's like you went from marathon and looked for something harder.
I know. Yeah. Self-punishment.
So you went straight for Ironman.
Yeah, I did. I went straight into the Ironman. So I decided that I was going to do Ironman with my brother-in-law, and the first event I did was a swim here in Auckland, and that was my first ever non-running event that I'd participated in. And that went pretty well. And I actually did a half Ironman in Rotorua in the lead up to Ironman New Zealand, and that was my first triathlon. I think I finished fourth overall, and then went to Ironman New Zealand in March of 2009.
And where did you finish in that one?
12th.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was racing as an age grouper, excuse me, and finished 12th overall. Yeah, so it was
incredible. And then that gave you qualification into Kona.
Yep.
What's Kona like?
Hot.
Yeah,
yeah.
I've been there as a visitor, not during the Ironman season, but there's shops there, and I can only imagine what it's like when the Ironman's in town.
Yeah, it's manic. There's so now there's more, but when I went, there was 2,000 triathletes who are racing, and then a bunch of their family and stuff in town. And it's quite a small little town, so it gets overrun and really busy, but it's got a really cool vibe. And it's an amazing place for a world championship of the sport. So, yeah, it was pretty awesome to go and be involved in that. And I ended up going 3 times. So, I never actually raced really well there. I just got smashed by the heat every time.
What was your best finish?
I don't know.
Like top 20?
No, nowhere near. No, in the age group, maybe top 60 or something like that. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's that competitive.
Yeah, super competitive. Yeah.
Unreal. And what sort of times were you doing? So for anyone that doesn't know, Ironman, it's like a 4K swim.
Yep. 180 bike and then a marathon.
Yeah. What sort of time were you doing for the marathon after the other 2 disciplines?
So my best time was 2:56, and that was in my first Ironman in Taupo. But normally I was running around 3:05 to 3:10.
Right. Yeah. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad after all that. Yeah. If you could jump back into your 20-year-old body with your current coaching brain, like what would you do differently?
Oh shit, that's a big question. I'd be way more patient with myself. Yeah. And I think way more structured, way more disciplined in the way that I approached racing and what races I was going to do. Yeah. Yeah.
It's frustrating. There's that saying, youth is wasted on the young.
I know. Yep.
But is this something you try and drum into your athletes, like be patient?
Yeah, well, I try and guide them the best I can with the mistakes that I've made. and what I think is going to be best for them in their development, which I always think is key. Like, they might be great today, but we want them in the sport for ages and want them to kind of fall in love with it and be there forever.
Yeah. So 2013, that's when you became a full-time coach?
Yep.
After you got made redundant from a job?
Yeah, that's right.
What were you doing? What line of work were you in?
I had a sales job, kind of golden handcuffs, really. I was being paid okay, and I really wasn't happy in the job. Didn't enjoy the role. The people I was working with were great, but not really my people. Went through a redundancy process, which wasn't handled very well from their perspective. So it enabled me just to have some breathing room once I set up coaching. And it was a bit of a shock when I first got made redundant, and then took a little bit of time and decided that I was going to give coaching a decent crack and see where it led.
So coaching at that point, was it like a side hustle,
Yeah, I had maybe 2 or 3 people who I was helping quite informally, and then I don't know, and I really enjoyed it, and it was just something that I felt I could be good at, and if given the opportunity, then maybe I could give it a decent crack, and it all just kind of fell into place, and the rest is history.
It's a terrifying pivot, though, isn't it? Going from working for the man to doing your own thing, especially in something as niche as coaching.
Yeah, it's like I said, I was kind of lucky in the way that the redundancy unfolded, and it enabled me to have some breathing room, and I had kind of a year to really get it set up. If everything went to plan, I'd be okay, and then at that point, if it wasn't working out and it wasn't financially viable, then I'd have to look for something else. But it all fell into place.
What'd your wife say?
She was actually really good. She was probably the level head in the situation. Yeah, just making sure that I, was happy with the decision I was going to make, and reassuring that it would all fall into place. And
so that was 12 years ago. Was it called CK Coaching from the beginning?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I had one of the guys I worked with in the other company. He said it to me one day, and I never forgot it. And he said, if you're going to start a business, just call it what it is, and just make it really clear and simple what it is. And so that was kind of the first one. And then I was chucking around some names for the coaching business, and someone said, no, you just need to use your name, because people will recognize that and identify with it and know what it means, rather than some random kind of coaching name. So just stuck with it.
No legal issues from Calvin Klein?
No. No, it's been joked about a lot. But the logo is very different. So.
And who's your first clients, or your first official customers that you're training?
Yeah, so I just had some local runners who were in Tauranga, and they were, I just put a post up on a local group and just said, hey, look, I'm going to start doing some coaching. If anyone wants some help, then, let me know. And a few people contacted me, and just went from there. Just grew from 1s and 2s to 10s and 20s, and
How many people have you got now?
About 45, I think,
right.
on the books, yeah.
Shit, there's a lot more than that wearing the singlets at events.
They're everywhere. Infiltrated.
What's the goal you still have for yourself as a coach? Yeah, I mean, like, we're going to get into the athletes, the high performance athletes that you're working with, and you've done so much. But is there one thing that you're yet to achieve?
Yeah. So when I set out coaching, one of my goals was to get someone to the Olympics from a development point of view. So not just kind of inherit them as a really good athlete and then, be at the Olympics, but take them from a teenager to the Olympics. And so I've done that with both Sam and Hayden. But my next goal now is to take a female from that same spot to the Olympics. So and then hopefully win a medal. That's always bonus. So, yeah.
And in terms of non-high-performing athletes, what's the best result you've had? Like someone going from, say, a 4.5-hour marathon to a 3, or? Yeah,
I've got loads of those stories, and I've always said that I enjoy coaching. I don't know, we'll call them the fun runner.
Weekend warriors.
Yeah, weekend warriors. I enjoy coaching them just as much as I do someone at a high-performance level. Because for me, it's just helping them be a better version of themselves and achieving what they want to achieve, rather than winning a medal at the Olympics, which is equally as cool. But it still has the same value for me.
And these athletes, like I'm imagining a Hayden Wilde or a Sam Tanner. I'm imagining like the night before a final or whatever at the Olympics or Commonwealth Games, you're texting them or you're catching up with them with a little message. The weekend warriors, like, do you do the same thing?
Yeah, tried to keep it the same. Treat everyone as equals. Everyone needs the same level of attention. And some people demand a bit more, but that's all right. That's just the way they are.
That's cute, eh? Like, imagine getting a text from you. Remember, you've done the work. Yeah. Trust the training.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah. All right. So who are you working with now? Drop some names. Who are your priorities?
Oh, they're all priorities. I guess, I don't know, if we start at high performance levels, Sam Tanner, who's two-time Olympic 1,500 metre runner. Young Sam Ruthe, who's coming through the ranks. He's the world record holder for his age group for 1,500 mile and 3,000 metres, and first kid at 15 to run a sub 4 minute mile. And
it's incredible.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And a couple of young triathletes who I coach, who one was 7th at World Junior Champs this year, and it's Finley Oliver, and then Hayley Cornwall, who finished 11th in the females junior champs. So so those are probably the four at the moment I can pick off the top of my head.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's focus on Sam Tanner for a little bit.
Sure.
So I spoke to him yesterday. He said you're quite good with the puns and the dad jokes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Love the dad jokes.
The reference note he gave me was rope joke.
Oh. That's just a dumb joke that I tell sometimes.
What is it?
I don't know if I want to go into that. It's not bad. It's just lame. But I've always joked about it. In an awkward moment, it's a joke I'll just pull out and just say when things are a bit awkward, everyone will drone and we'll carry on.
Oh, let's hear it. We're in too deep.
No, I don't think we need to. We'll move on.
Oh my God. The intrigue now. Something else that he said is you're a renowned tight ass.
Oh, really? Did he? Oh, that's nice of him.
and he said you try and throw it back on him. You gaslight him into thinking he's a tight ass, but you're the tight ass.
No, I think it's him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, how do you rein in someone like him? Someone like he's so high energy.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose you could call him a larrikin. Is he always like 100% on task when it comes to training?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's very good at that. So he's he goes off on some tangents occasionally, but that's just the way Sam is. Like, he loves to surf and he loves to go fishing, and he goes some snowboarding in the winter. But he's actually really good at making sure that it's not at a time when it's going to interrupt his training. So. Yeah, very dialed in. When he's training, he's on. When he's not, he's joking around. Yeah.
Who would you say is the gold star standard in all time for 1,500 metre in New Zealand? Like John Walker, Nick Willis. Who would it be?
Yeah. Well,
who's the 10 out of 10? And where would Sam Tanner be compared to them on a?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a really hard one to gauge because we've had so many Olympic medalists in the 1,500, but I still think that Nick Willis is probably, in his era and the things that he faced in his era, he was probably our greatest, I think, but probably didn't achieve what he should have because other people were, doing some things that they shouldn't have been doing in front of him. So, yeah, I still believe he should have been two-time Olympic gold medalist. So
if Nick Willis is the gold star standard, 10 out of 10, where would Sam Tanner be now, and where do you think he can get?
I think maybe on the list of New Zealand kind of 1,500 milers, he may be sitting at 4th or 5th.
Right. Wow.
Somewhere there. I think he can break the New Zealand record. And hopefully it's this coming season that he does it. And if he doesn't, then Sam Ruthe is not far behind him.
Yeah. How did you two connect?
Interesting story. I'd been following Sam when he was at kind of year 9 at high school, year 10. Good little athlete. He won year 9 cross country, and I was like, man, that kid can move. Like, he runs really well. He's fast, but he didn't do any training. He just wanted to surf and played some touch rugby and just kind of enjoyed
some balance.
yeah, skateboarded and stuff. And then he just came to me one day and he just said, would you coach me? And I said, yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, super talented, and I can see that you've got a lot of potential, so let's do it.
But do you say to him, you got to take it? Did you give him any rules? Like, if I coach you, you got to take it seriously?
No. I wanted Sam to be Sam, so I wanted him to maintain that love for life that he has, and to be Sam, who's not just Sam the runner, but Sam Tanner who runs. And so he's got a life outside of running, and maintains all of that, and that keeps him happy, and a happy Sam is a fast Sam. So it's important that he keeps that. Yeah,
I think you can see that in his results on Instagram as well. Like if he has a bad day or a result that doesn't go his way, he's not sort of defined by it. Like he can seem to move on quite easily.
Yeah, he does. Yep.
Like he's just Sam Tanner who runs, not Sam Tanner the runner.
It's still. I mean, I think it still eats away at him a little bit. Sure. When things don't go right, as it would for most people. But yeah, he is quite good at debriefing and kind of parking it, learning from it, and moving on.
How have you helped him improve, and how has he helped you improve?
I think I've helped him bring a little bit more structure and planning to what he does, and I don't know how he's helped me.
Patience, tolerance. He's got to be so. I love the guy.
He's fun to be around.
Yeah,
he's fun to be around.
Annoying at times though. Or?
No, because he's like a little kid. He's fun.
He is. Yeah, actually, that's a good way to put it. He's got kid energy. Eh?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Yes. So he's just him and his wife have recently had a baby son.
Yeah, that's right.
So in terms of coaching, what happens then? Do you give him like a blank schedule for a couple of weeks? Or?
Yeah, so we just carried on as normal with the understanding from both sides that it's going to be a little bit messy until they find their feet, and there's going to be some ups and downs, and some sleepless nights that are going to impact on his training, and he's accepting that he needs to be able to prioritise his training, but without sacrificing family. So it's his first child, so he's enjoying all the things that new dads do, and that's pretty special in itself.
What's it like going to the Olympics as a coach?
Tiring, actually.
Is it?
Yeah, it's really tiring. Yeah, really tiring. Yep.
Like in what way? What do you mean?
It's just on the whole time. So in Paris, I was with triathlon first. So we'd had a training camp in Andorra, and Sam and Hayden were both there, and we had a whole squad of people up in Andorra training and doing their certain roles. We moved into Paris, and I was with the triathlon team, and then the day of the men's triathlon, I switched to athletics. So that night we didn't really get to celebrate hugely. I moved from triathlon straight into the village and was part of athletics, and so there was no downtime. I didn't get to sit and enjoy it. Just straight into the next thing. So, and then it was probably another 10 days of athletics and then fly home. So, and by the time I get on the plane, I'm just exhausted. Yeah.
Well, at least you were allowed in the village. Arthur Lydiard wasn't even allowed in the village, was he?
No, he wasn't here. Yeah.
How anxious are you before these big events as a coach?
I don't get too nervous. So, probably the only time I was really nervous was in Tokyo for the Olympics. I mean, Hayden's first Olympics, and there were a few things that happened prior that didn't set him up very well for in the days leading up. So, yeah, I just sat at home by myself and my wife and my brother-in-law, and we just watched the race together.
Now, how do you talk your athletes at Olympics or Commonwealth Games through a disappointing result? Do you need to say anything at all, or?
Yeah, so we need to debrief, and again, you need to be really honest, but from a place of caring and a place of love, so that you're addressing the facts, but from a place where it's actually meaningful, and it's not for me to judge or tell anyone off. It's for us to learn and grow and understand what went wrong and what went right.
What is there one that stands out as the toughest conversation you've ever had to have with Samuel Tanner?
I think this year at the World Champs was pretty tough for both of us. It certainly didn't go as we would have liked, and we wanted much more out of it. So that was pretty tough. Yeah. We had a debrief, and that wasn't much fun. But
what does that look like? Can you elaborate on that?
Oh, we just sat and talked about the event and how it unfolded, and he'd made a slight tactical mistake. He'd run really well, and then made a tactical mistake with about 600 to go, and just got caught off guard, and trying to understand why that happened, and how we can fix that for the future, and what changes do we need to make. Yeah.
If he's made an error and he can acknowledge it, there's not much you can add, really, is there?
No, not really. Not from my point of view. We can understand why he made that error and what led to it, and what things you could do differently to not make it happen again.
I suppose the next big thing for Sam Tanner that we're talking about is the Glasgow Commonwealth Games next year.
Yeah, and there's World Indoor Champs as well, which is in March, or end of February. So
yeah. What's your hope as coach for these two events?
I'd love to see Sam, make the final of both. The men's 1500 is an outrageously deep event globally. Like it's got deeper and deeper every year. The volume of guys running super fast is really high, and you can only be a small percentage out and be nowhere. So if he can win a medal, be awesome. Make the final and feature like he did in Birmingham, then that would be cool.
Awesome. Oh, watch the space.
Yeah, hopefully.
Now let's talk Sam Ruthe.
Yeah.
So March 19th, 2025, at the age of 15, he ran a 3-minute 58 mile, which is crazy. This is before you and I were born, but this was the threshold of human performance, breaking the 4-minute mile. Who was it? Roger Bannister. What year? 59?
Oh, you're going to get me in trouble here. 56, I think.
Yeah, unbelievable. And now you got this school kid.
I know.
From Bay of Plenty doing it.
It was unreal. And in the lead up, we kind of talked about it, and it's like, is it a possibility? And we were like, yeah, he could do it, but it's outrageous to even think that. And then for him to pull it off on the day, and and he had Sam Tanner there helping him, which was pretty special, and just incredible.
Now, it's worth pointing out he's from good lineage.
Yes.
His parents, Ben and Jess, are both phenomenal runners.
Yep.
I think they both won Auckland Marathon. Yeah. They're really good athletes.
Yep.
So
Jess won it a couple of times, I think, and Ben won a multitude of races. Yep.
So he never had an option but to be a fast runner.
Exactly. Yeah.
When did you first meet him? Can you remember the age?
Oh, he would have been days old, I think, when I first met Sam. They just lived around the corner from us at home. So, I met him when he was days old, and just followed him through his primary school years, and just always had the pedigree to be great, and never lost a race during school, primary school and intermediate years, and just continued.
No doubt everyone, you yourself included, made the same sort of joke when he was a baby, before he could even walk, that he was going to be a good runner.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no way of predicting that he was going to be this good, right?
No, I wouldn't have never predicted that. Even when I first started coaching him, which was at the end of his year 8. So I only take kind of high school kids on, and for coaching I won't coach them when they're younger, but at the end of year 8, when they can finish school, I'll let them come and join the group. So he came along then, and even at that point, you could see he was good, and you could see he was going to be a good runner, but to predict a year and a half down the track that he was going to run sub 4, it was just it'd be outrageous to suggest that. So.
Why are you coaching him? Why don't his parents do it themselves?
I don't think Ben would be a fantastic coach for Sam. Ben's an amazing guy and a great friend, but he's a lunatic, and he knows it. And Jess, I think, she's got the knowledge, and she helps me out when I'm away. So when I travel, she takes the group for me and works as kind of an assistant kind of role, which is amazing, and it's fantastic. But I don't think she would be keen to take on something like that herself. Yeah.
Also, I suppose they're two separate hats, parenting and coaching.
Keep them separate.
So when did you first see a holy shit time from him? You talked before about him winning the cross country and athletics day, but was there like a park run or something when he was young where you're like, oh my God, it's a 17-minute 5K? Or
no, I don't think. No, his parents wouldn't let him do a 5K because at that age, which I endorse. But he. Yeah, you could just tell he just won every race and won it by miles and was always just looking really comfortable in these events. And I think at the end of year 9 at Nationals, and he just looked amazing at school champs, and it's like, this kid is going to be really good. In a year and a half on, he's crushing it.
What's he like as a person? Is he like mature for his age? Just a standard sort of 15, 16-year-old boy?
He's mature for his age. Very thoughtful, nice kid, really pleasant to talk to, which is unusual for kids of that age because sometimes you just get grunts out of them, but he's actually really thoughtful and you can have a good conversation with him, which is nice. Yeah.
You mentioned before Sam Tanner, how he reached out to you when he was ready because he was busy fishing and skateboarding or whatever. Yeah. Is that a worry that you've got this this kid who's a phenomenal talent and he might burn out in his early 20s or at the age he should be peaking? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's always a danger, I think. But doing the best I can to avoid that, keeping his load really under control, trying to make sure that he's not over racing, not doing things that aren't age appropriate for him is the term I'm looking for. Yeah.
From a coach's perspective, being in Tauranga, having Sam Ruthe in Tauranga, having Samuel Tanner in Tauranga, two of the fastest runners in New Zealand, must be a helpful dynamic in that they can push each other and train each other.
Yep.
What's it like between them though? Is it
Oh, they're great mates.
Are they?
Yeah, they're great mates. Yep. So they're really good, and the group of young teenage boys that train with Sam Ruthe and Sam Tanner, they're really good too. I mean, there's some quality runners in there. George Wiley, who's part of the squad, he's run a 4:03 mile as a 17-year-old. So he's without Sam Ruthe
being there,
isn't it? Without Sam Ruthe being there, he'd be a phenom. And so it's just overshadowed, and it's just unfortunate timing for George, but he's a great athlete. He's got a scholarship to the University of Colorado, so he's heading over there next year, which I'm sure he'll push on and do some great things.
For you, like a running nerd and now a coaching nerd, this must just be a joy to watch on the side of a track.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I love it. Yep. Yeah, it beats working for a living.
And Sam's locked up with a Nike deal now, eh?
Yes. Sam Tanner, yep.
Eh?
Sam Tanner, yeah. Oh, Sam Ruthe,
Sam
sorry.
Ruthe, yeah. Sam Tanner, Puma.
Yeah, sure.
Sam Ruthe, the school kid that we're talking about that ran the sub 4-minute mile. Nike deal. Yeah, what does that look like? Is it a long deal, a short deal, or just shoes?
It was an 18-month deal when it was signed last year, and so it runs through to the end of next year. Oh, so they've signed this year, end of next year, and then but currently it's being renegotiated by his father at the moment. So, so I'm not sure how that'll look. It's not really my business to know what kind of money he's getting or what's happening financially here.
What are your long-term predictions for Sam Ruthe?
I think he's going to go down as one of New Zealand's greats. Yep.
It's the distance before that we were talking about that New Zealand has got a stacked history, so that is a big shout.
Yeah. I really think that he's got the capability to do something really special.
I mean, you know him as an like saying something like that could be like just a mountain of pressure for someone. You obviously know him well enough to know that he can hear something like this and handle it.
Yeah, I think he can.
Yeah.
For me, it's not. I'm not expecting him to do that, but I just think he can do that. So, for me, it's not putting pressure on him because, he'll just do as well as he can. But I just think that's where it's going to lead. Yeah.
Because at what age do runners typically peak for 1,500 metres? Late 20s?
Yeah, mid 20s. Yeah.
Yes, he's got 2 to 3
10 years
Olympic cycles before he's even peaking.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Yep.
Terrifying. Like he's that good. Amazing. Hayden Wilde. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you feel talking about him?
Fine.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely fine.
Yeah, because so you guys worked together, had a wonderful working relationship.
Yeah.
You went your separate ways at the end of 2024. So his quote was, "I just want to know that I've done everything in my power in my career to know that I've turned every stone." So and this is quite flattering, I think, he replaced you for 3 coaches.
Yeah.
So he got a running coach, a swim coach, and a cycling coach.
Yeah, so we'd currently worked with the swim coach for a couple of years, so he was already kind of part of the team. Yeah, so.
But is that difficult? Like when an athlete...
It was difficult at the time to hear. Yeah, and it was more from a relationship point of view than a coaching point of view, because when he was young, kind of 18, 19, we'd kind of take him in really into our house, and he'd lived in our place, and, you know, we'd fed him and helped him, you know, through a number of years. And so it kind of felt like he was going, I'm sure it's not what he intended, but for us, for my wife and I, it was like, oh, I don't need you anymore, we're moving on. So it was quite hard from that point of view, just as it's almost like a parent kind of, you know, situation.
Yeah. So when did you guys first meet? Legend has it, he beat you in a half marathon.
He did,
and
stole my $1,000.
So when was this? Like, so he was a teenager at the time?
Yeah, he was a teenager. So
was that the first time you met?
It was the first time. Yeah, it was the first time we'd met. We'd raced. I can't remember the name of the event. Some Waihi challenge or something. We did this race, and Hayden won it pretty comfortably. And then there was a half marathon in Hawke's Bay. So that's the first time I knew of him at this multi-sport race.
How old was he at the time?
Oh, he must have been 18, 17, 18. And then after that, I went to the Hawke's Bay half marathon, and they had some prize money for first place. And I looked at the start list, and I was like, oh, there's no win in it. And I should be able to take this $1,000. Even though I wasn't really at my full powers, I was like, oh, yeah, I can still running well enough, I can still get that. And I was like, oh, there's that young fella Hayden on there, but I should be able to dispatch him pretty comfortably. And so we started off, and we're running pretty quick, and, you know, there's only him and I left in the group, and I was like, oh, I need to shake this guy. And so I used every move in the old man book that I had, and just couldn't get rid of him. He dropped me at one point. I got back on, and then we were going through the vineyard at the end, and there was like a corner and a couple of corners around the vineyard, and I tripped on this tree root and stumbled a little bit, and he just saw that opportunity and took it and went, and never got back on. But yeah, that was the first time we met. Yep.
Unreal. And then, so how does it go from that to coaching him? Yeah,
so he went to Maui to Xterra, and he won his second Xterra age group title, was the 16 to 19 age group. And when he got back, he just contacted me and said, you know, would you be interested in coaching me? And I was like, yeah, that sounds like a great challenge. He was kind of pretty upfront. He said, I want to go to the next Com Games. And to the Olympics. And I was like, well, I don't know how you swim. Let's see how you swim. Saw him swim. I was like, ooh, I don't know if you can make it to the Com Games. It's coming up pretty quick. So we just started working together from that point on. And yeah.
Was swimming his weakest discipline?
Yeah, from day one.
Yeah, right. And you guys had a long relationship, like 8 years, 9 years?
Yeah, so that one, it was about 8 years.
Yeah.
8 or 9 years.
What were the highlights in that time for you as a coach?
Oh, it's got to be winning 2 Olympic medals. Yeah. And that one in Paris was pretty special to be part of. Like that was an attempt at taking a gold that, you know, it got so close. Yeah.
Yes, what happened there? I vaguely I was watching it with my girlfriend, and I said, Hayden Wilde is amazing. He's one to watch. And then after the swim, she was like, I thought you said this guy was amazing. Like, he sucks. Yeah. And I'm like, be patient. Yeah, what happened? So he didn't do great in the swim, or he got caught up in a...
Yeah, so he didn't have a great swim. It was a really, really tough swim in the river sign. It was, the current was flowing. It was dirty as well. But the river was flowing pretty fast. There's a lot of water in there, and was quite a technical swim from that perspective. So the good swimmers were strong enough to get through that really well and could manage it, and the ones who aren't such great swimmers kind of are the ones that got found out a little bit. So yeah, he didn't have a great swim, but he got into a good bike group, and then, you know, we'd we had some prearranged teamwork to help him out to get back to the front. So
Prearranged teamwork? What does that mean?
So about 18 months before the games, I'd started petitioning TryNZ to include in our policy that we select someone to help Hayden in the event that he needs it, to win a medal. And my basis was that, it's New Zealand winning a medal, and it's the program winning a medal, not just him personally. So the whole HB department is kind of reliant on funding. So if we get a medal, then the funding will follow. So so it went through a kind of lengthy process, and it never really got to the point where they were going to select a domestique for him, but the policy was set up that it was in there, but kind of under lots of layers. So it ended up that Dylan McCulloch, who was selected as the other male on the team, or the New Zealand team, and he'd put his hand up and said, "Look, if Hayden needs some help, I'm willing to do all I can to be the man for him." So so his coach John Hellemans, myself, and Hayden and Dylan sat down in the days leading up and just kind of talked about probably about 10 different ways that they could work together, or Dylan could help him, or Hayden could help Dylan, or depending on which circumstances played out. And so on race day, Dylan made the front pack, had a great swim. Hayden ended up being in the second pack on the bike, and they weren't making any ground, so we'd kind of pre-arranged for him to drop back to that group and then just tow that group back to the front so that he would be there ready for the run. So that's how it unfolded, and Dylan was the star on that day. Like, he would never have won a medal if it wasn't for Dylan. So
Yeah, it's very selfless.
Incredibly.
Say Dylan was, got the white line fever or whatever you call him, was like, no, fuck you guys, this is my opportunity. Did he have a chance of winning a medal himself, or possibly not?
Look, there's always a chance.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a real outside chance for him.
Okay.
Dylan's a lovely bloke and a supremely talented athlete. But in that environment, I think, there was Hayden was our only chance of winning a medal. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
At the time we were recording this in November, he had an event last weekend where there was a complete clusterfuck, quite frankly.
It was a shambles, yeah.
Where was that?
Dubai.
Dubai, yeah. So he ended up doing an additional lap on the bike. I think he was in the lead at the time.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Yeah, so you still follow him closely and you watch these things?
Yeah, I watch all the events. I'm a fan of the sport, so even before I was coaching in triathlon, I'd watched all the World Series races, and I'll continue to do so. I enjoy the sport and watching how people perform, and so I was pretty keen to see how he got on.
What's your take on what went down at that event in Dubai?
From a bike perspective, I think Hayden made a mistake and did an extra lap. I just, for whatever reason, just miscounted, didn't listen to briefing. I have no idea what went on, but so he did an extra lap, took two other guys with him, and then on the run, I think the T100 officials just screwed up and sent them into the finish early and made a mess of it. So, but I think from an organisation point of view, like T100 need to learn and grow from that, and kind of make sure that for their own point of view, that they're actually putting on a spectacle that people want to watch, and they don't turn it on and see this absolute shambles of a race that's no one knows who is winning, and just it was a poor spectacle. So they need to make some quick changes.
I think they are right. They're going to have like lap counters now. And
it's a no-brainer though. People have been doing that for years.
Come on, how hard is it?
Yeah, anytime you go more than like 2 laps on something, you need to have lap counters, because people get caught up in the racing, and if you're not helping manage that side of it, then the race is going to turn into a mess.
So do you still text him like before or after events, or you sort of you try and sort of step back a bit?
No, just hands off. No, we haven't really had any contact for a while. But I did see him on the Gold Coast. Oh, not on the Gold Coast, in Wollongong a couple of weeks ago when I was over there. So we had a bit of a chat. And catch up.
Is it awkward now, or not really?
No, a little bit awkward, I guess. Yeah. But no, it's fine.
Yeah.
We're still friends. Just we just haven't been in contact much. Yeah.
'Cause he did say at the time, so it happened just sort of before Christmas 2024. He said he's going to try out the 3-coach thing for a year, and then if it doesn't work, perhaps go back. What's your assessment of how the year's been? It's almost a year.
Yeah, so when we first had the conversation, well, it's got on a year ago now, he kind of told me what he was planning, and I said to him at the time, look, if it doesn't work out, my door's still open. Like, give me a call and we can talk and see what happens. And yeah, I don't know. He's had a good year. He was really unlucky with the bike crash that he had in Japan, and that's probably hindered really some of his performances, especially on the World Series. You have to be swimming really well to be in contention in those races. So, but looking from the outside, I don't know that he's improved from where he was as an athlete. I think he's probably just stayed the same. Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned before he raises the conversation. I can't imagine that was an easy thing for him to raise with you.
No,
given the level of
I'm sure it was difficult.
The things you've been through. Yeah. How do you reflect on that?
Yeah, I mean,
were you blindsided by it at the time? Or?
Yeah, completely blindsided, and I was quite lucky that my wife was there at the same time. So, I don't know if that was by design on his part or just the way it happened, but. And as I said before, we kind of took him in as almost like parents and looked after him, and lived in our house for a long period of time, and so she kind of felt like a mother to him as well. So it hurt and it blindsided us, and I'm sure it was not easy for him as well. So,
yeah. I mean, you can sort of understand it from, like, he's just ruthlessly driven. So when that explanation, like, he just doesn't want to leave any stone unturned, I can sort of understand that. But all just sucks all round.
It does,
were you sad at the time or angry?
No, never angry. Disappointed, I think. Athletes make change, and that happens all the time. I think mostly athletes make change when things aren't going well. I think when you're in a position like he was, one of the best in the world, nothing really going wrong with his training or his form or his performances, it's kind of an odd time to do it. But everyone has their reasons. Yeah,
I understand what you're saying. It's like Joseph Parker getting rid of Kevin Barry and trying something else when he was having some flat results. But there was no sort of... I can understand it. As an athlete, do you think he's at his peak or still climbing towards it, or?
He's probably getting real close to his peak. Probably plateaued on the peak, and at some point it'll decline.
He's good, eh?
He's phenomenal.
What medals has he got? Just silver and bronze Olympic medals?
And a Commonwealth silver.
Yeah, incredible. So he could end up with the whole rainbow.
Could do, yeah. I think the way that the racing at that World Series level Olympic distance has changed in the last 12 months, it's going to make it extremely difficult for him to make it back and win a gold. I think, there's been a bit of an evolution in the event.
How do you mean?
I think the really good swimmers, the extremely good swimmers, are taking the race to everyone else, so they're not giving those guys like Hayden and Alex Yee an opportunity to get back into the race. They're just keeping them at arm's length.
What do you think Hayden Wilde's greatest strengths and weaknesses are? Swimming, it sounds like what he's doing.
It's definitely not a strength. He's an extremely motivated individual, and determined to do really well, and he's really innovative, got lots of street smarts, always trying new stuff, and kind of almost outthinking people in that perspective from a street smarts point of view. Yeah,
it's interesting with what you're just saying. I had Sir Steve Hansen on the podcast, and he's got a theory that a person's greatest strength is usually their greatest weakness as well. And maybe that's the same as what you're saying with Hayden. Like, he's, this is the reason he replaced you for other coaches, just because of, that drive he's got. And what about his future, even beyond triathlon? What do you see him doing, or what do you hope he does? Like Ironman, marathon?
I'd say he'll go to Ironman eventually at some point. Yeah, probably within the next few years. I'd say he'll end up there, which I think he'll do extremely well. I think he'll go to Hawaii and win the world title quite convincingly, I think. Yeah.
Because he's a good runner, right? Like, a lot of people wouldn't know this, but he had a crack at the New Zealand track record for 60 minutes.
That's right. Yeah, which is going...
He came close.
Yeah, he came very close, and that's actually someone else is having an attempt at that tonight, so at Mount Smart.
Oh, unreal. What is the current record? How many... 20...
20.5K for the hour. Yeah.
Is it there for the taking?
I think so. It's not a super fast time, and I think again with the new footwear, I think the right runner can get it. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that stuff.
Yeah.
Especially the stuff about Hayden. Is it hard for you to talk about, or?
No, it's not hard.
No.
I mean, it's not my favourite topic in the world, but
No.
I'm happy to talk about it. It's something that happened, and I'm proud of the time that we spent together as athlete and coach, and all the things that we kind of went through, and all the challenges that we had, and and winning 2 Olympic medals is pretty special.
Yeah, you reflect on that fondly?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of the story. The ending's not ideal, but it's still a fantastic part of the Craig Kirkwood story, right? Hey, so I mentioned on Instagram that you're coming in, and there's
got some scary questions. I dread to think what
no. Actually, most of them I think are from what you'd call. What did you call them? I called them weekend warriors. You called them
fun runners.
Fun runners.
The weekend warriors.
Here's any New Zealand athletes that you think, shit, I'd love to get my hands on them.
Oh, nothing. No one pops into my mind automatically.
Yeah.
No.
I think almost anyone that's at that level is on your books already.
Yeah, there's lots of really talented people in New Zealand,
Yeah.
and Arthur Lydiard, if we hark back to him, he said there's champions in every school in every town in New Zealand, and it's just having the right person to foster that talent and make them realise that they can achieve what they will, what they're not even dreaming of. So. Yeah.
For the average Kiwi who hates running but wants to be a runner, where's the starting point?
Start slow.
Yeah.
Jog. Yeah, jog 1 minute on, 1 minute off, and just kind of build from there. Yeah, and just try not to run too fast. That's what most people do when they go running. They go ripping out the door, and 3 minutes later they're walking because they've gone too fast. So
I'm so pleased
go a bit slower.
I'm so pleased you said that, because I get people messaging me all the time asking how to start, and I'll say, walk for 4 minutes, run for 1, repeat that cycle a few times.
Absolutely, and just jog. Don't even wear a watch. Just enjoy the process of getting fit. Yeah.
What is the bare minimum someone needs to do to become a marathon finisher? I'm curious to hear how you answer this.
Well, I think anyone can finish a marathon, within reason. If you're remotely fit, you can finish it. You may not finish it in the time that you want to achieve, and I think that's probably where the question is heading. Maybe that's the intent. But I think if you're running consistently, 3 or 4 days a week, you'll be able to get through a marathon without too much discomfort. Yeah.
Whenever people message me this, I say, look, you can do it with minimal training.
It'll hurt, and it'll be
it's
slow.
going to be the ugliest and most awful day of your life. You're going to be in hell for hours. Do you want to be in hell for hours or minutes? It's up to you.
I've always said with Ironman as well, it's the same thing. People talk about, I could never do an Ironman. I said, well, you need to go to Taupo and go down to the finish line from 10:30 to midnight and just watch the people who are coming in, and then tell me that you're not capable of it. If those people are out there doing it, why can't you? Yeah, no excuse.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're truly inspiring. Hey,
it's incredible, though, the length of time they're out there.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I mean, you get your Cameron Browns or your Braden Currys, and it's remarkable what they do. But for someone that's out there for 18 hours or whatever, and also in the lead up to that, they've managed to somehow navigate their family dynamics and their 9-to-5 job, and somehow fit in enough training to get it done.
Yeah, and they're not the kind of people who you would call athletic. They're just normal everyday people just out there trying to achieve a life goal. Yeah.
Where do most runners go wrong with training? The classic mistakes that you see every week.
I think some people, it's probably a couple of things. They either do workouts and they're running too fast for their abilities, and then they're just cooking themselves, or they're just jogging around never doing anything fast. So it's and so finding that sweet spot in the middle is probably where most people aren't getting it right. Yeah.
Oh, I think I'm in my jogging era at the moment.
Same.
one pace. But it just hurts when I try and do speed work. I just don't know if I've got the.
I just love going out and jogging these days. So, yeah.
What does Craig think of the current culture of flexing your training on Strava? You've mentioned going out without a watch a couple of times in the podcast today.
Yeah.
Are you sort of?
I think people get tied up in the watch too much, and I've had conversations with people over the years where they've not wanted to just jog on a run because they don't want on Strava, and when people are seeing how slow they're jogging, it's like, who cares? Like, no one cares. Just go out and enjoy it. Yeah, and if it means, if that's what people get tied up with, then don't even wear a GPS watch. Don't use Strava. I don't care if people flex on Strava. It's fine. Just do whatever. And I'm happy to jog 5:30 per kilometre and put it on Strava. And if anyone's going to make a comment, then so be it.
But I think you're beyond like having an ego when it. I mean, you've got.
I've got nothing to prove on the running side.
No, exactly. If you could force every runner to add one weekly habit, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe just to sleep better. Yeah, just get better quality sleep. Figure out what's causing poor sleep or disrupting sleep and fix that.
That's such a good answer.
Yeah.
It's so doable for everyone.
It's easy. The amount of people who put their phone next to the bed and claim that they have it there for their alarm is just, whatever. You're just scrolling. Turn it off and put it downstairs or something.
What's the difference between someone who runs a 4-hour marathon and someone who runs, say, 250? Is it talent, discipline, pain tolerance, something else?
All of the above. Talent, a lot of it's talent. Some people are just born to move better than others, which I think plays a large part in marathoning or in running in general. And maybe discipline. Yeah, people who just get out there and want to train harder or train more are probably going to do better than those who are just not really that motivated to do it.
I'm thinking about getting a coach. What should I be looking for in a good coach?
Find someone that you can have a good conversation with and a good, honest conversation with. Someone who maybe will be willing to challenge your thoughts as well. Yeah. Yep.
Well, just Google Craig Kirkwood.
Yeah. Sure.
How do you keep young, talented runners in the sport when they start losing confidence? Is that a thing? Is that an issue?
It probably is an issue. I don't know that I've had that experience. I've had some kids who I've coached who have drifted into other sports, but not drifted out of sport completely. We're really lucky, maybe by design, but that we've got a really good squad in Tauranga. So probably got a squad of 25 kids or so, and they're all high school kids, and they're all wanting to come and train and be part of the group, and and so that keeps them motivated to come along and be with their friends and be part of something that maybe they wouldn't be otherwise. Yeah, so that's quite lucky from that perspective.
Yeah, I see that on your Instagram from time to time, just running along with a big pack. And it's quite a little like community or tribe or whatever you want to call it that you've created. That must give you just a huge sense of pride.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, so proud of the group and the way they conduct themselves too. Everyone's friends. There's no fallouts or animosity, or there's no big egos. And if someone does start developing and it gets chopped down pretty quick by the banter, and so it's good. Yeah.
Did you ever imagine in your lifetime that running would be like a cool sport?
No.
It's crazy, eh?
It is crazy.
What is going on?
Running has definitely gone through a massive boom. Which is amazing. It's so good that people are just out there and enjoying a seemingly free sport. Like it's expensive with shoes and entries and stuff aren't cheap, but for the most part it's free. You don't have to buy any really expensive equipment.
Yeah, that's what I say to people. The barrier to entry is very cheap. Like shoes are actually optional.
Yeah.
You don't need them. You don't need a watch. I feel like what's happening, it's funny, the running sort of phenomenon that we're experiencing, actually worldwide at the moment, globally, I feel like it's a post-COVID thing and people just want that sense of connection. That's why run clubs are so popular. Like it's not about running on your own, it's about running with other people. And
it is, yeah. It's community and getting together and everyone just enjoying it. And I think those run clubs have done a fantastic job at uniting people to do that. Yeah, it's great.
I feel like when it's no longer cool, there'll be maybe like 10%, 20%, however many of those runners that keep at it.
Yeah.
Which is exciting for the future of the sport.
It is, it's great.
Yeah. From Instagram, does he recommend any strength exercises for runners to avoid injury?
Oh. I don't know. There's some real simple things you can do in the gym, but you need to be able to conduct the movement well, which is sometimes the challenge. So just a simple thing like a squat or a lunge, but you've got to be able to squat well. You've got to be able to hinge at the hip properly.
Form, yeah.
You can't just go and squat. You might hurt yourself, so it could be worse than the injury. So yeah, if you're gonna go S&C, then find someone who knows what they're talking about to help you.
Yeah, S&C, strength and conditioning.
Yes.
Is that at the top level? You know, the Sams and the Haydens. Is that imperative?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, to ward off injuries and just to strengthen weaknesses. And Sam Tanner had an Achilles injury last year, and we've worked really hard for the last 18 months to go through an S&C program and just try and fix that tendon and get it back to where it was. Yeah, so it's not easy.
If someone listening wants to run a big PB in the next year, what's the blueprint?
Oh. That's secret sauce stuff there. What's the blueprint? So you need to be consistent. That's as I said earlier, like that's the key. Like it doesn't happen in one week, 1 month. It's going to take a year. Yeah. Think of it as a long-term goal.
I've just started running and it feels awful. How long do I need to do it before it starts feeling okay and then enjoyable?
You need to slow down because you're obviously running too fast. I don't know that sometimes, like I've been running for God knows how long now, and sometimes it sucks. Like I went out for a run this morning before I drove to Auckland, and it was pissing rain, and I didn't feel very good. My legs were sore, and I was tired, and it just wasn't a very enjoyable run. And that happens. And sometimes you just got to get through it, park it, move on, and maybe tomorrow will be great.
Yeah, why is that? I'm exactly the same. Some days it feels like you're running effortlessly and you could run forever. Other days I'm just like plodding around, and even 10Ks feels difficult. And for me, it's on those days where I think, fuck, what if I wake up in the morning of an event and I feel like this?
Yeah, I know. It's
shakes your confidence.
Yeah, sometimes there's no rhyme or reason. Sometimes it is, you've had a big day the day before. Maybe you didn't eat very well yesterday. Maybe you slept poorly. Maybe you had a couple of drinks. Didn't have enough water. There's all sorts of things play into it.
No doubt you've seen every injury under the sun. What are some of the most preventable ones?
Ooh. I think anything kind of maybe calf Achilles related, I think is preventable with the right kind of stretching and strengthening. Most people don't have enough calf strength, which then causes problems. Yeah, especially as they get older. I like to call it old man calf.
Well, I get around that by just not having calves at all. I've just got bone down here.
Yeah, well, that's one way.
What's one running myth you hear all the time that really grinds your gears?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I've heard one, to be honest.
I'd say running's going to fuck your knees.
Oh, yeah.
People say that like it's a guarantee.
That's a good example. That's rubbish, yeah.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? The correlation between... Actually, I'm sitting here at the moment with knee issues. So it's a bad example. But, yeah, what's your take on that? It's not a given, is it? That if you run a lot of Ks, you're gonna wreck your knees.
No, I don't think it's... I think it's probably more of a genetic thing, maybe a form thing. Maybe you've had a muscle imbalance that you've just been dealing with for years and you've been running a bit wonky and it's caused some knee problems. I don't think the running itself on healthy joints that are moving well is going to cause problems.
Yeah. I'm really time poor. I have maybe 20 or 30 minutes a day to exercise. What's the smartest way to train?
Just use that 20 minutes really wisely and just get out and just go for a run for 20 minutes. Sometimes you can run easy, sometimes you can run fast.
Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes you do a bit of hard running, slow running in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thanks for answering all those questions.
Yeah, that was a challenge. It was better than I thought. I thought they were going to be terrible.
Oh, no, I thought
knowing some of my mates.
No, you nailed it. You'll be at Metallica tonight. You'll be like, I should have said that, or I should have said this.
Yeah.
How's it been? How do you enjoy reflecting on your life and your career? Does it sit comfortably with you, or not particularly?
I don't know that I reflect on it very often, but I'm really happy with where I'm at. Like I don't think I'd ever have dreamed that I would be in a coaching position that I'm in and have the stable of athletes, that I have, and looking after the careers of some really talented athletes. And you just got to be happy that they're trusting you to be part of it. So no, very privileged. Yeah.
And what's the future for Craig Kirkwood, the man, and CK coaching, like next 5-10 years?
I can't see myself changing, full stop. No.
Craig Kirkwood, thank you.
I can't see myself changing jobs. I realised after I started coaching that I'm not the type of person who can work for other people. So I need to just do my own thing and be really happy with what I'm doing, and which I am. I absolutely love what I do day to day, and just helping people be better versions of themselves and meet their goals. And so I don't think I'll be changing careers anytime soon, and no real desire to go overseas and ply my trade somewhere else, unless someone's got a huge checkbook that they want to wave at me. But so and look, from a personal point of view, my boys are both at uni, and my wife and I are happy in Tauranga, and I think we'll just kind of remain where we are for now and be really content with where our life's at.
Well, you were seeing Metallica tonight with your 18-year-old son.
Yeah.
I think as a man, as a dad, that's an achievement that your 18-year-old son still wants to go to a rock concert with you.
I know, how cool.
Yeah.
No, it must be a cool dad.
Oh, God. As soon as you say I'm the cool dad, you become the not cool
Either
dad.
that or he's using me for the ticket. I don't know. One of the two.
Oh, do we get the rope joke or no?
Oh, no, we'll just leave that hanging, I reckon. Excuse the pun.
That's not a bad one. Another one you could say, if someone says, can I have the rope joke, you could say, I'm afraid not.
Yeah, well, that is the end of the joke.
Oh, is it? Did I crack it?
Yeah, you can Google it. Have a look.
Oh, well, are you proud of yourself?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm really proud of really proud of where I'm at in my life. Really proud of what I've achieved from a coaching point of view. Really proud of my family and where they're at and how my boys are doing. And
taking that leap when you lost your job into going into CK coaching, like it's a big, bold move.
Yeah, it could have gone badly, and I would have been back to doing some sales role that I hated, or something else. Who knows? Yeah.
Well, Craig Kirkwood, you're a great New Zealander. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. It's awesome. Not as scary as I thought.